Asheville Baptist University. I don't go to Asheville. She's not here. You say
So you used to see you up there.
That could be.
There's a lot of viewers at home for taking
Welcome and good morning. I'm Al from the Fellowship Board, and I'm away this morning, and I'm going to give the welcome as I did a few times last year. Come, whoever you are, holding various beliefs, whatever your skin color, whatever your age or your identity, whatever your abilities, whomever you love. You are welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Statesboro. You are welcome in this, our religious home. I extend a warm welcome to any visitors or guests. If we have someone who is a visitor or a guest, if you have a guest who would like to introduce yourself, please do, or someone who, if you have a guest. Any introductions? All right, well, we would like for any visitors to give us some contact information in our guest registry, which is near the front entrance, or on our webpage at www.ustatesboro.org, so that the fellowship can send you more information. For the month of February, half of our offering that is not designated as pledge will be shared with Blue, which is Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. So remember that, and please give generously later in service. Now, I invite you to join me in reciting our congregational affirmation. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. Our worship leader this morning is Teresa Wynn. Teresa.
Let us worship together this morning. I appreciate you all being here and being a part of our time this morning. We will light our chalice as the symbol of our religious heritage, and then I will ask you to join us in singing Rise Up, Holy Light. chalice of love and love, uniting us all by day and night. Now, as you are standing, please turn and greet those closest to you and join each other for As we start returning to our seats this morning, it is time for our story for all ages. So if there are any children in the audience this morning, or any other adults or in between children and adults who want to join us up front so they can see the pictures, Beth is going to share a story with us. Hey, you guys, it's nice to see you. My name is Adrienne.
Okay, you guys, hello. My name is Beth. So, I am a mom too, but my kids are a lot older now. And this was one of our very favorite stories when they were little. And it's still one of my favorite stories now. And it's about how we can take good care of ourselves when we have really big feelings. Because really big feelings are important, right? Like sometimes if something unfair happens, feeling angry is important. But it's also important to know how to take good care of ourselves when we feel those things. So before I read you this story, I want to practice two things. Okay. You guys ever heard the word or the letters BFF? You know what BFF often stands for? Best friends forever. That's right. Well, I've got a different version of BFF that you can use when you're feeling really big feelings. And it's B for breathe, F for feel your body, and F for find your feet or your seat. So everybody want to practice with us? We'll get the grown-ups practice too. Okay. So B for breathe. So take a breath. F for feel your body. Are you feeling cold or warm? Feel the floor. Feel the sound zoom on your lips, totally. And F for find your feet or find your seat. If you wiggle your bottom, feel the supportive floor or chair under you. Feel your feet under you. Now we're settled. And then the other thing I want to share with you before we start is, you guys ever heard of an old scientist named Albert Einstein? Maybe. Yeah? Cool. So Albert Einstein said that he wanted to try to live as if everything was a miracle. And so here's something I do following that helps me feel settled too. It's that I aim today to see everything as a miracle. The sights my eyes can see. So what's one sight that your eyes see that you think is pretty nice? The lights. Wow, the window. Piano. I love the colors of that too. So the sights my eyes can see, the sounds my ears can hear. Hear sounds. And any tastes or smells. I taste the toothpaste in my mouth this morning. And then the last one is what I feel with my body. You might feel your clothes or your hat or the Okay, so this story is called When Sophie Gets Angry. Really, really angry. Yeah. Sophie was busy playing when my turn. Her sister grabbed Gorilla. How do you think Sophie's gonna feel? No, said Sophie. Yes, said her mother. It is her turn now, Sophie. And as her sister snatched Gorilla away, Sophie fell over the truck. Oh, is Sophie ever angry now? She kicks and she screams and she wants to smash the world to smithereens. And look at the cat. The cat's like, whoa, we better watch our mouths. Go hide under the couch. And she roars a red, red roar. Sophie is a volcano ready to explode. And when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, kabam! She slams the door and she runs. She runs and she runs and she runs until she cannot run anymore. And then, for a little while, she cries. That helps sometimes too, right? And now that she's run, and now that she's cried, she takes a deep breath, and she sees the rocks, and the trees, and the ferns, and she hears a little bird. And then she comes to the beech tree and she climbs. And she feels the breeze and she watches the water and the waves. This is my favorite page of the whole book. It says, and the wide world comforts her. And Sophie feels better now. So she climbs back down and she heads for home. And the house is warm and it smells good and everyone is glad she's home. And everything is back together again. And what did they put together here? A puzzle, yeah. Everything's back together again. And Sophie isn't angry anymore. Now she paints a picture of the tree. That can help sometimes too. Thanks, you guys. That's the end.
Thank you, Beth. All right, guys, will y'all help me do our affirmation for the congregation before we sing you out? You can stand up and face everybody. And we're going to do, we are Unitarian Universalists, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. Now we're going to invite the congregation to make us a tunnel for y'all to go out to, or a bridge. And if they would, join hands at the front, and we will sing our children off. This morning, so if you will look around and find a hymnal near you, We're going to turn to page 121. If anybody needs one, just raise your hand. Somebody will pass one back to you because there's a bunch around. This is coming up 121. Thank you, Mike. Owen is going to give us an intro, and then we will see. That is the time we are coming to in the service now, to focus and to center ourselves. So we're going to have a few moments of silence, and then we're going to follow that with the meditation on breathing. The words will be on the screen, and Owen is going to play through it with us. We'll sing it twice, and we will call this our time together this morning. So I invite you to enjoy a few moments of silence. Universalist with us this morning to speak with us about why they are here in our midst and what about this speaks to them that they can share with you this morning. So first we have our very own Adrienne Cohen. Adrienne, if you want to come on up, we will get your stuff ready for you and turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. My message is, why do you? And I want to talk about an inclusionary versus exclusionary faith. And just a little bit of background. So I was raised in a family where my mom was Catholic and my dad was Jewish. And they were married at a time when that was a pretty radical decision on their part in the 1950s in Boston. Yeah, anyway. But I was raised as a Catholic because that was what they were required to do by the priests who allowed them to get married. So, but I always had a question about this exclusivity of Christianity, that idea that only certain people would find their way into whatever was in the afterlife that was wonderful. Because my dad, well, for one thing, he was Jewish, like Jesus. And for another thing, God created him to be a Jew. That's who he was born to be, and he was being exactly as God wanted him to be. So this idea of exclusivity, I really struggled with it. And the other big place where I struggled with it was the idea that a loving God could create something called hell. Because, to me, God is, kind of like a father, right? God the Father in traditional religion. And as a parent, I thought, really, I can't imagine having my children, any of my children, regardless of what they did in their lives, being given a place of eternal pain and suffering. It just didn't align with my perspectives on what God was. And another thing about this exclusivity thing is, what about the people who never heard the word of Jesus, right? If that's what you believe, you have to have, and there's many religions, by the way. I don't just need to pick out Christianity as an exclusive religion, because there's lots of them. This is just the one that I know, right? So what if they never heard the name of Jesus? How could they not be allowed a place of I don't know, peace and beauty in life? What about those born to a different religion was another one, and practicing that religion faithfully, like my dad. So I really struggled with it. And then in 2005, as one does as a revelation, I heard a podcast. Yeah. This American Life, episode 304, entitled Heretics. Heard that, and it was a revelation. It was a revelation. It was about this Pentecostal preacher from Tulsa, Oklahoma, named Bishop Carlton Pearson. He had a very large congregation, one of those mega churches. And he had a revelation that something called the Gospel of Inclusion. And I'm just going to summarize it, but if you want to go listen to the podcast, it changed my life. You might be interested. But basically, the Gospel of Inclusion says that Jesus actually came to the world, because they say God sent his only son, came to the world, so that all of us could be forgiven and given grace. Not just the ones that decided to follow him, but everybody. This was laid upon the world, that everyone who had lived, was living, and was going to live got God's grace. I can't tell you how much that changed my life. So much to this day. So I was curious, we are taught that the Bible gives us messages. So I looked up what are some inclusionary Bible quotes, and there's a few of them from John. The first one is John 14, 2-3. I bet you didn't expect to hear this kind of thing this morning. I shared this whole little presentation with my friend Martha, and she said, "Oh, I love the Bible quotes," and I thought that's probably the one part of this service that people are going to go, "What now?" Okay. John 14, 2-3. "In my Father's house there are many rooms. I am going there to prepare a place for you, and I will come back and take you to be with me, that you may also be where I am." And I believe that the "you" spoken of in the Bible there is everybody, because it's inclusive. And then just a little bit down, they go in sequential order, is John 14, verse 6, which says, "Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Now, let me just tell you that the Exclusionary people will tell you, see, you have to accept Jesus in order to receive grace. But it doesn't say that, does it? Doesn't speak about directionality here. It says that no one comes to the Father except through me. So Jesus went down here on earth and took care of all of us. We're all sick. All of us. Whether we've heard the word Jesus or not, whether we've accepted this Christian Bible or not, we are all accepted by grace. Okay. The next one is Ephesians 2. I only have 4 of them, I swear. Ephesians 2, 8-9, which says, "For it is grace that you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. This is a gift from God." He gave it to everybody. He gave it to everybody. See what I mean? Bible, inclusive. Who knew? And then the last one is Galatians 3, 23-29. "There is no longer Jew or Greek. There is no longer slave or free. There is no longer male or female, for all of you are one in Christ Jesus." Everybody. Everybody. Including my Jewish father, who now has a beautiful condo in heaven. All right, so I learned this in 2005, and then years later I become a Unitarian. And when I become a Unitarian, eventually, because I joined this congregation during COVID, so I didn't get to go to go through the usual things. But we all started to gather together, and I went to one of those classes about Unitarianism, and I learned about something called Universalism. So we are Unitarian Universalists. What is Universalism? Oh my gosh, it's the inclusionary gospel that I learned about, from the bishop. Well, what does that mean? Okay, well, first of all, Universalism believes in the equal worth of all people, okay? That every human being is inherent of value and dignity regardless of belief, culture, nationality, or identity. Oh, I like that. I think that is true, right? All of us, even the people I don't like so much. Everybody. Universal access to truth, salvation, or moral worth. What does that mean? It means that everyone is ultimately reconciled with the divine. No one is eternally damned. Did you hear that about the hell? Right? No one is eternally damned, right? Because God loves us all. In non-religious forms, it means moral truth or human rights applied to everyone. Boy, I wish someone would pick up the gauntlet of universalism in government today in our country. Everyone. Okay. Inclusivity over exclusivity. That is my message. So what does that mean? It means that no single group, creed, or tradition has a monopoly on truth, goodness, or spiritual legitimacy. And I am sorry, you Unitarian Universalists, I love us all, but we don't have the market on it. It belongs to everybody. Everybody. Even those little kids over in China who have never heard the word Jesus. They all get it. Everybody. Okay. There is an emphasis on compassion and love. Well, I think inclusivity is an emphasis on compassion and love. And then, in and of itself, says that we have to have compassion and love for all. Okay. So it means you have to have ethical behavior, love, justice, mercy, and empathy. So you all remember in the middle of Jet Pig, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, what's in the middle? Love. Love is in the middle of all of the things that we're supposed to focus on and believe in as Unitarian. And it's more important than a strict adherence to doctrine or dogma. And I think about the thing that we say here about how important our actions are, right? That service is our prayer. It's not that we have to follow a certain way. I get to stand up here and quote the Bible, right? No one came and got me and dragged me away, right? Thank you all. So it's not about what we say, it's about what we do that matters. Okay. So that is an emphasis on compassion and love. It is also a rejection of eternal punishment. Now, I think today, maybe we don't see this so much. I think maybe this universalism thing came years ago when people used that idea of being damned to hell as a way of punishing people, right? I mean, even children, right? It's just, anyway. But just a little bit about that suffering, if it exists, is corrective or temporary, not endless. And those of us that have studied Buddhism understand the idea of how temporary suffering is, how it does exist in this world, but it won't last forever, just like joy won't last forever. So, the ultimate destiny of all beings is restorative or harmony. And to me, that aspect really speaks to me in understanding of the world, that there is suffering. Because that's another thing that I always wondered, and I guess that's another, when I have another 10 minutes we'll talk about, is like, how could a loving God allow these things to happen in this world? I don't think really realistically, I think everything that I have ever faced that was suffering, I learned from. Did I wish it happened? No. Did I learn things from it? Yes. And then the last thing is this thing about the unity of humanity. Despite surface differences, humanity is fundamentally one community with shared moral responsibility. Shared moral responsibilities. And what are those moral responsibilities? They are love, justice, mercy, and empathy. So, why do I, you? I know it's not as cute as why do you, but why do I, you? One of the big reasons is because of this idea of inclusivity. That I can come here exactly as I am and be accepted. Not because you all are hoping to bring me somewhere else, but because I am, and because of the universal love of all of humanity. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrienne. We so appreciate you sharing this morning. And the next sharer this morning on our panel is our own Beth. Beth has been teaching philosophy at Georgia Southern University since 2006. She's been a member of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Statesboro since 2010. And I am very happy to have those numbers in writing so I can remember how long she's also been my friend. For about 10 years or so, she was way in the back all the time teaching those kids with RE. And so, as she said earlier, hers are grown now, and that means we get to see her a little bit more on this side of the congregation. So we welcome Beth to come up and speak to us now.
Yeah. Good morning. So one of the reasons I am a UU is the hymnal and the music and being able to talk about Bible verses. Because timer didn't work. Okay, Teresa, I'm just gonna follow you. So, because part of my journey to becoming a UU was overcoming some religious trauma, right? And how healing it is to be able to take texts that are really personally meaningful for me, or to be able to sing out of a hymnal, sometimes even with tunes that are familiar, but in a way that feels comfortable and authentic for me. So I'm going to give a little background on my personal steps to getting here, and then once I got here, why it meant so much to me. So I was raised in a really, really religiously conservative setting in a family of ministers and missionaries. And looking back on it, I think I completely misunderstood what that meant because when I took it very seriously and I cared deeply. When I was a teen, I used to set the clock and get up an hour early before school to read the Bible, right? I really cared about this. But we would sing, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. And I took that really literally, right? And so my career aspiration as a very young person was, well, my denomination doesn't let women on the pulpit, so I can't be a minister,
but I could be a minister's wife, which back then was a real career path. I could be a minister's wife and I could be a missionary. And I didn't know being a missionary involved like trying to convert people. I thought it meant we get to travel the world and meet people and help build a school or something, right? So I was very, very close with my grandmother, who was a minister's wife, and she would have been a missionary. They were scheduled with my dad to go to the Philippines, but the Philippines got bombed by Japan and entered World War II, and so the trip was canceled. But I remember my grandma saying to me at one point when I was a little kid, I was asking questions, and she said, well, sweetheart, there are just some things God must not mean for us to understand. So that's my memory that I must have had a lot of questions as a kid. So when I was in high school, I had the good fortune that in my friend group, it was my first close-knit friend group, and one of us was Catholic, one of us was Jewish, one was going to a new mega church, a few of them were pagan, a few of them were atheists, one was Hindu, and that's when I was saying, like, what is going on here? You know, like, I have stuff to learn from so many different places. Why would God have said you have to be in just one particular church and not open this to everybody? So that's when my mind kind of exploded and I went on my own journey. And by the time I got to college, I was good friends with a lot of people who were very serious secular humanists, like running the local group and attending national conferences. And there was a lot of negativity about going to church, right? Because they were associating it with a very hostile, judgmental, exclusionary type of personality. And I remember saying over and over again, but you guys, there's another side of it. Because what I really respected about going to church, and what I guess I was missing and didn't realize I was missing, was this idea. I was like, think about it. There are people in that room, not everybody's like hateful, angry, and exclusionary. There are people who are making time in their lives to show up once a week in community to spend time with what matters most to me in my life, and how can I live a life that I feel good about? How can I be a good person? How can I be loving? I was like, that's a beautiful thing for people to be committed to that. So I first heard of UU when I went to college. I attended a friend's wedding at the UU, and then I attended a child dedication ceremony at the UU, and the most crazy, awesome countercultural couple I knew, married but polyamorous, both queer, living in a communal house with a bunch of other people, went to the UU. So that was my first association. I was like, okay, wide open. And then in grad school, I don't know if you guys remember this, there used to be a quiz you could take online and answer questions about your belief system, and it would tell you what denomination was a good match. So just out of curiosity, I took that, and I got UU or Quaker. Okay, so I did not feel the need to go to church, but I knew that if I did, it would probably be a UU. And then when Hansi and I decided to get married, we decided to get married at a UU in Kentucky, which was my home state, because from that amount of experience, I had never attended a UU church service, but I had the idea that the minister could make a service that passed enough that my very conservative, fundamentalist Christian family wouldn't feel totally alienated, right? Where the words could also be authentic to us, where we didn't have to betray ourselves to do that. So it was a nice compromise. And she did a great job. My very first UU service was in Massachusetts, when we lived in Salem, Massachusetts. And my husband, Hansi, was practicing with a local choir that would practice at the UU. And I had the UU minister's wife in some of my philosophy classes. And so we decided to go to a Christmas Eve service at the UU in Swampscott, Massachusetts. That was my first UU service. And at that point, as a lot of you know, we had already had several years of infertility struggles. And so that was really raw. And we were sitting there in this very quiet, candlelit Christmas Eve service with beautiful children all around us. And that was the first time I ever heard the reading that we often use at the UU. Every night that a child is born is a holy night. I was like, oh. Okay. So it really touched something inside of me. So then we got to Statesboro in 2006, and my daughter was born in 2007. And the first reason I came to the UU at the old building, that I still wasn't comfortable saying church, so my kids and I called it the UU house. We're going to the UU house. So when my daughter was 2, in the spring of 2010, we went to our first service, because I felt like she's going to grow up in tiny little Brooklet, Georgia, where she's going to be really weird. And she's not going to go to the same church as most of the people in her community go, and she's got strange parents and all of that. And so I wanted her to have a community where we weren't the only weird ones. Like she could feel like I have a place where I really belong and I'm accepted for who I am. So I started coming. And I started teaching RE almost immediately with the kids in the back. And here's what I got out of it that I didn't realize I needed that led me to stay. So first of all, I got a creative outlet. It meant so much to be able to put those lessons together each week. You know, it was like my little creative project each week. What story are we going to do, and what theme, and what art project? But it was also the first time that I really felt in big supportive community, and that meant so much. And you know, we had a baby shower, we went through my mom's illness together, we had my mom's funeral here. I have been with you, you have been with me through many, many things. And you know, I learned after moving here, the first time somebody at a little gym in Brooklyn said, "Now, what church do y'all go to? Like, have you found your home church?" Like, the northern part of me was like, "Back off, why are you judging me?" But then I realized very quickly, oh, that wasn't judgment, that was an act of love and care, right? Like, have you found your home church means, like, when I have surgery, do I have somebody who's gonna come take care of my kids for me, right? And so I just really appreciated that. And then I just have to share with you, I didn't realize till I got here, this was really a lifeline those first few years of my job here, because it was the one place in my life where I felt like I could really fully show up as my full self, where I didn't have to mask, I didn't have to pretend, I didn't have to wear dress clothes. I could show up in shorts with my unshaven legs. I could be open about not identifying as straight, and I could just be myself about my own beliefs, and that was so affirming and such a lifeline. And now I feel a lot less like I have to mask or pretend when I'm out in the world, but I was just so grateful to feel at home here. And then I didn't realize till I got here how hungry I was for this rebirth of my spiritual life, and that has been a really beautiful outcome. It's not an outcome, project in process of the last 15, 16 years too, because this feeds my heart. I love being able to show up and be touched by music and ritual and candle and hear from other people and go back and reclaim those parts, you know, to heal the religious trauma and reclaim, hey, this is for me. So, thank you.
Both Adrienne and Beth have agreed to stay with us after our service and refreshments so that we could have some afterthoughts with them. So if you would like to continue the conversations, please plan to join us. It is now the time in our service where we will pass our plates and accept any monetary gifts you would like to share. I will remind you that anything that is not designated as your pledge will be shared with BLUE, the Black Lives of UU. And Owen's going to share a musical offering with us this morning as well. gifts this morning. It is that time in our service where we will share our joys and concerns with each other. We've heard several times this morning about how much community matters, and it's certainly one of the reasons I'm here. And this is a time when we do get the opportunity to share with one another a little bit about where we are and what's going on. So I invite you to come up and light a candle or drop a stone. We'd encourage you to share your name and your joy or your concern. If you'd rather share from your seat, I'm happy to do it for you, but please come up.
I'm Sherry, as you can tell by my name tag, and one of my joys was I've been down here for 11 years since my parents passed, cleaning up the 63 years worth of collecting fabric arts. She won. The quilter who dies with the most fabric wins. She won. And, Buttermilk Barnes is going to have 2 quilt sales and hope to get rid of the stuff with that. And that's coming up. But I've been a UU, got my own story of discovery too. But when I came here one morning and someone had made me a name tag, and it was still there this morning. I haven't been here for almost a year and a half. And I married that man a couple years ago, and he was looking for a rational spirituality, and so I dragged him to UU churches. We've now been in 20 different ones in two countries, 3 provinces, and 3 states, and he's feeling quite at home on that. We got a buyer for my parents' place. As I was saying, and David heard me, I will find an excuse to come back. Maybe one more Sunday this time, but we'll find excuses to come back and visit. And UUs are just welcoming in Canada and US and all over the place. And so I did a pulpit thing one time with the minister saying, get a bushel basket, and I put a candle in it. Don't hide our light under a bushel, and we do that, and we don't share, we don't tell people. And when they find out that there is a place for weird, I've done a good thing. Thank you all for being so
I'm Paul Ziegler. Most of you probably know me. This is a candle of concern for my sister. She's back in the hospital. Recurring but not terribly frequent medical condition. And I just wanted to share that with everybody. So, they express their concerns and support. It's not an unmitigated concern. I found that I've reached the point where I understand exactly how to deal with this. And everything went exactly as projected, and I expected to get well and on schedule. So, information, if you're interested in showing your card or anything, I've given that to Mike, and I think he's going to get that into the newsletter. I think he'll probably cover you want to know before. So,
I have a couple of joys this morning. I know unusual for me, so first of all, Sherry, David, you snuck in. My Esperanto friends are back. Yay! First of all, and probably most important of all, I know that a very dear friend of mine for over 30 years, he has been in and out of the hospital for some months now, and he was back in the hospital for the past week, and it got very touchy, and we thought we were going to lose him there for a bit. And I got a message yesterday that he's back home again. So that made me so happy. I really hope he can stay there, and that we have as long as possible with him. He is very dear to me. And then also another bit of joy, you know, that I am still working through getting stuff settled for the estate. And I just cleared a huge hurdle in that on Friday. So there's like one tiny little thing that, as long as there's no hiccup in that, I have just cleared a massive bit in clearing something out of the estate that's been weighing on me for months and months and months. So that's like a massive weight off of my spirit and off of my plate. So yeah, that was great. But I'm just so happy my friend's out of the hospital right now and back home with his family, which is where he should be. And let's hope he stays there.
Definitely.
All right, so first I wanted to let people know there are these blue pieces of tape on either side. They indicate where, if you're standing on this side of that, those people in that camera can see you. If you are on that side of it, they cannot. All of that to say that I heard from KT, and William wants us to know that he turns 9 today. So I would like everybody to stand up, turn around. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear William. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all.
Here, Adrienne, are there others?
Let's see, do we have anything else? I think that's it.
Hello, I'm Owen, the occasional purveyor of organized noise in the front of the room.
We appreciate the organizing noise.
I'm not quite as slick at that as Jenny is, as she's more attuned to a UU service, so pardon that the transitions aren't quite as professional. But just wanted to pass along that a week ago Friday, Jenny and I were married in a private ceremony. We won't really tell you where because we snuck in there. We may or may not have been allowed. We did it all backwards, as it's not our first time in the marriage rodeo. So the rings are forthcoming. Telling your friends happen after, and the going out somewhere will happen at some point. Just want to pass along to those of you who know her.
Other joys, other concerns this morning? Well, I will light a candle for those joys and concerns that we have, but we aren't sharing this morning, and remind everyone that our pastoral care associates, as well as our Reverend Samar Howard, are available if you want to share them in a more private setting. So Sherry and Michael are both here this morning, so feel free to reach out to them. I invite you now to invoke the Spirit of life with me and join me in a moment of reflection and prayer. May we know that we as a community are connected with these joys and concerns shared this morning, and that we can turn to each other for support and for admiration and affirmation. Let us truly cherish this time that we share together. Let us be in communion with each other and with all that we hold sacred. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you now to grab that hymnal, or you can look up here on the screen if it's seeable for you, and join us in Spirit of Life. It is number 123 in your hymnal. Share announcements, and I will remind you that if you don't want to come up here to the mic, at least make sure you're on this side of the blue lines that Adrienne was talking about, so that those who are listening from home can not just hear a voice, but kind of get a sense of what's going on. So one announcement is that we will not be having choir this afternoon because Mo is not feeling well. Hopefully we will be able to restart choir practice very, very soon. What other announcements do we have?
I just wanted to let everyone know that there is a migrant support group meeting tonight. It was supposed to be last Sunday, and we had this whole snowpocalypse, which I got to tell you, when I shared with my friends up north, we had 1.5 inches and the whole world shut down. They thought it was adorable. Anyways, the meeting is at 6 at Trinity Episcopal. My understanding is there's some kind of sporting event going on at the same time, but I'm sure you'd much rather be going to the migrant support group meeting. See many of you there. Thank you.
So more locally, on migrant support, Reverend Samara has signed us up, our UU, to participate in the Standing on the Side of Love national campaign to reach out to our legislators to stop ICE. If you aren't on Facebook, get on Facebook or reach out to Samara directly, because we need 20 UUs, and there are 10 of us who have signed up. So if you're willing to make a 3-minute, literally a 3-minute telephone call on Tuesday morning at the assigned time between 9 and 10, you'll get a script, you'll get the number, you'll get everything. But reach out to Samara or get on Facebook and sign up, because we need 10 more of us to agree to do that, to be part of this national impact, to make our voices heard.
I do believe there is a UUFS board meeting tomorrow night on Zoom at 7 in our UU Zoom room, so if you'd like to join, please feel free to log on. Something else, Sherry?
Yeah, I've got a totally different one. So everybody who has not in the last couple of years stood up there and talked about why you're a UU, how you got here, or why you keep coming, just raise your hand. Recently, okay, and if you are willing to do that, please let me know. We'll do another one of these if there are 3 of us who are willing to come and share that. Because it's one of my favorite programs. It's so nice to hear other people's journey and what brought them here. It reminds us of why we're here. So if you haven't in the last couple of years and you're willing to, even if you've never done it, if you're relatively new, Sally.
about two of the
I didn't raise my hand on anything.
So just a reminder, we will have afterthoughts following refreshments, and it looked like there was some really nice refreshments in there, especially king cake this morning in honor of Mardi Gras coming.
Next week. Mardi Gras next week.
Oh, so we're not going to eat it till next week?
We're not going to eat. It's in the freezer.
Ah, you got to come back next week. I'm sorry. You got too excited. Forgive me. All right, you have to come back next week. We'll have some king cake, and it'll be even better because it will be all nice and moist. Okay, so there are still some refreshments. So feel free to stay, and we will have afterthoughts. But before that, I invite you now to get your hymnals again and turn to number 347. And we are going to sing along to the recording of Gather the Spirit as our benediction and our continued quest to learn more hymns from our beautiful great hymn.